Thank you, Bob. Whoever wants to follow Jack Clark? Come on, really. I'm going to, I've been asked what would I say here this evening, and knowing that all of us share a very, very common ground when it comes to rugby. I think Terry Fleener expressed it very well. Many of us who have been at rugby, I started in 1969 with the Cleveland Blues on a happenstance meeting by one of the players who I'd known in high school sports out there. And he invited me to go to university school that evening, Wednesday. He said, come play rugby. I never heard of it. We go up. There's about 45 guys there. It's a hot summer night. They go, you're the captain, you're the captain. They pick a team, your skins, your shirts. I line up. I saw the guy in front of me. What's this about? What's going to happen? He goes, oh, they're going to kick off the ball. Don't worry about it. If you catch it, run like hell. And if somebody else gets it, tackle them. And that kind of is the story of so many people who were standing on the sidelines. There were 14 players. There were 11 players. There was a guy in a dormitory. He said, hey, we're going somewhere. Come on along and play rugby. Little did I realize that the road would lead here. I got to tell you that. I have to say that the inspiration of the people that I have been involved with in rugby is extremely special. People like Ed Lee, some of the early founders of the Eastern Rugby Union. When I moved from Ohio up to New York, I started to be exposed. I went in the madness of my passion for the game. I would leave my office at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, drive down to New York City to practice on the roof of a school in downtown Manhattan so that I could get a little more skilled. Guys like Ray Cornbill, people like George Betzler. George hated the way I played rugby. He couldn't stand that I thought that someone at number 8 should pass the ball to the backs. But he also hated the way I rucked and mauled. I said to him one day, George, can you give me a technique? I'm in that maul. He goes, you've got to rip the ball away from them. You've got to take yourself and grab that finger and put it in your mouth and bite them and get it. And after 17 years, I started doing that, and George loved the way I played rugby. I will also say I have followed Jack Clark in the past. We were up at Saranac Lake. I don't know if John Morgan's in the crowd, but he deserves a lot of credit for what he did in rugby over the years. And we played up at Saranac. Jack was at the second row, and I was behind him. So it was great to push on Jack and get him ahead. And then he always has gone on to bigger and greater things. The one thing I will say about rugby, it afforded me the opportunity to travel the world to meet people that I never thought I would. The lesson that I learned about rugby in sitting in many selection committee meetings applies in all the businesses I've ever been involved in, and that is that if you need 15 people to play a rugby game and you've got only 13 great players, you have to move those 13 players and have them play better, get the 2 other people and carry them along. I use the analogy today with my business associates and some of the colleagues I work with to tell them it's kind of like a three-point shooter. Three-point shooter doesn't play offense, he doesn't play defense, he's in terrible shape, but when you need him on the floor, you point to him, and he's going to make that 3 points for you, and that's what's really important. The other thing was a memory that I built Windover Park in 1982. I bought 110 acres of ground. We were going to build one field. We ultimately ended up with 10 full-size rugby fields. Kevin Swords drives in on his way to the Territorial Union, and he looks around and he sees 20 goalposts. He goes, is this a goalpost farm that you've created here, Tom? And so it's things like that that are rich in my memory. But I will always tell the story. Although the Springbuck event was a difficult time, it really brought together a lot of people who stepped up and kind of did the right thing, supported many of the values we have as sportsmen. I'll share with you on our trip to South Africa with the Cougars, Keith Seabird, Ray Cornbill. one of the most important things that ever came across my life was that John Fowler, who I think most of you are from California will remember John Fowler. John Fowler says, Tom, my buddy here in Johannesburg is going to pick us up and we're going out to Soweto. Now that was 2 years after the Soweto riots. I said, John, why would we do this? He says, it would be very interesting what we experience. So we pile into a 1960 Volkswagen bus, John and I, and we go cruising out to Soweto. And as we're driving in, there are signs that are about as big as that wall that say, no whites beyond this point. And as we go along, people are getting off the trains that are coming in from Joburg and the horrific life that have been put upon people that live in South Africa that are black. I also noticed that the bus, it's getting dark, and the bus is running out of gas. And I said, you know, John, I'm not sure that this is a really good idea that we're going out here, because this could be a real problem. So we finally get out, and we find a gas station. We get out of the car, and John says, you go ask the man if he could sell us some gas. I get out, I walk up to the gentleman who is at the gas station, and I said, could we buy some gasoline so we can get out of here? And he says to me, oh, you're an American rugby player. And I said, yes, I am. He goes, just a minute, we'll get you the gas. I want you to come and visit my home. So he takes me down to his house. He's very humble. It's very important that we see how other people live. So we come back, and he gives us the gas, and he goes over and he grabs his family, and he says to his family, I want you to stand over here, and he says, you have a camera. I had a camera. He said, I want you to take my picture, take our picture. I said to them, okay, but I won't be able to get the picture to you. And he said to me, it doesn't matter. In America, my image will be there, and I'll be free. And I have to say that so many times we are so lucky to live in this country and to go play rugby for the U.S. national team and to travel and meet men of other countries, leaders, speak at Rotaries, go to things that afforded me that opportunity, really helped me forge a completely different lifestyle of values, of wonderful people who gave me an opportunity which I never, ever in my lifetime expected to come and be in this audience with these esteemed people. And I thank Brian, does a terrific job. I thank all of the men and the women now that play rugby. And thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.